Welcome back to Beyond the Spot. This is episode 30. What we practiced in 2025 is simply this: a nervous system praxis for entering 2026. This is Beyond the Spot, the colonizing healing one brain at a time. I am your host, Tracy Gantlin-Monroy, licensed professional counselor and brain spotting trainer. This is absolutely not a recap episode. This is not a highlight reel. This is not even a call to become better, brighter, or more healed. This is actually a threshold episode. What we did together in 2025 was not consume information. We practiced staying with our sensation, staying with our grief, staying with our anger, staying with our ruptures, staying with truth when it cost us belonging, certainty, and it even cost some of us performance. This episode names the praxis that emerged, what the nervous system learned how to do because of this year in real time. So I find it prudent to give an operational definition to praxis. Praxis is the process by which a theory, lesson, or skill is enacted, embodied, realized, applied, or put into practice. Praxis may also refer to the act of engaging, applying, exercising, realizing, or just simply expanding the ideas. So, as you listen to this episode, please take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Where I come from, there's this saying: eat the meat and spit out the bones. That is the invitation for this episode. Let your body decide what comes with you into 2026. My hope is that you would allow your body to speak to you. That's all sacred. Thank you for being here. Beyond the Spot, Decolonizing Healing One Brain at a Time, is a podcast that weaves my first love, of course, brain spotting, and somatic informed modalities with embodied healing, cultural consciousness, and real talk about trauma, resilience, and recovery. Hosted by Tracy Gantlin-Monroy, a licensed professional counselor, spiritual healer, and the first Black female brain spotting trainer in the world. Each episode dares to dismantle mental health myths, uplift lived experiences, and restore collective wisdom. One conversation at a time. Beyond the Spot podcast is for educational purposes and is not therapy. Please reach out to licensed medical and mental health professionals. Thank you. Let's start here unpacking praxis as we have experienced and learned this year. Number one, listening before labeling. One of the strongest threads this year was simply this: we learned how quickly psychology labels what it hasn't listened to. We explored how algorithms replace attunement, diagnoses becomes distance. Insight bypasses sensation. And the praxis, before naming, fixing, diagnosing, or even explaining, how about listen somatically? Healing did not begin with understanding. It began when the nervous system was given time to speak in its own language. My mentor, Dr. David Grand, often says, go slow to go fast. That is something that always stuck with me because oftentimes we're in such a rush. We put such an expectation on the emergence of what's to come anyway. But when we're able to simply wait and be present, everything that should happen does actually happen, especially when we're working in the frame from a psychotherapeutic, from a neuroscience, brain, body, somatic base perspective. The nervous system is sacred and it does require time to speak in its own language. And I do want to give a reflective invitation here. Where did you rush to label yourself instead of listening to sensation? What softened when you stopped demanding answers and started tracking your body? Pause here if you need to. There's something about that pause that is sacred. Let's go here. Praxis number 2, honoring the body as archive. We spent much time this year deconstructing the idea that the body is merely symptomatic. Your body is not disordered, it is historical. Can you notice the reframing of language that I'm using with intentionality? Across numerous episodes on epigenetics, culture, ancestry, neurodivergence, we named this truth. The body remembers what the culture refuses to hold. Your responses were not random. They were intelligentsia, intelligent adaptations shaped by lineage, environment, and survival. The challenge becomes from a macro topic perspective when we, especially as marginalized persons, are disallowed from the authenticity of ourselves. How do I say? In this sense of becoming what the system dictates what we should be versus our authenticity of self and how we ought to be. And I get it because that can come with consequences. At least that's the read many of our nervous systems will receive consistent with the programming. So please know your experience, your responses, they are not random. It's coming from the sacred space of your sense of self. Here's the praxis here. Stop asking what's wrong with me and start asking, what did my body learn? And here are the reflective invitation. 2 things. What did your body know before your mind caught up? And what stories live in your posture, your breath, your pacing and be able to sit with that as you need to. Praxis number 3, boundaries with aftercare. This year, we told the truth about boundaries, even as we explored the idea of the phenomenon of no contact. Not the Instagram version, not the cut them off and glow up version. We named that. Anger is grief's protector. And no contact is often a response to unrepaired rupture. Boundaries actually carry loss, even when they are necessary. I want to highlight the praxis here. Boundaries are not conclusions, they are merely thresholds that require tending. Aftercare is not optional. Grief belongs in the boundary process. And I'll tell you something else. Grief belongs in the restoration and healing process. The only way to truly heal, the only way towards restoration is through sadness, grief, and loss. Here are the reflective invitations. What boundary required mourning, not celebration? And where did you move on too quickly instead of staying with the cost? Explore that and notice what comes up in your system around that. Let's go here. Praxis number, where am I? 4. Staying with the liminal, the in between spaces. We talked about liminality, the in between space, the place where roles fall apart, identities loosen, certainty evaporates. The nervous system hates ambiguity, yet healing often requires it. Praxis here. Not knowing is not failure. It is a regulated nervous system tolerating emergence. You don't need clarity yet. You need capacity. That resiliency I often talk about, that internal coherency that goes along with heart math. Here are some reflective considerations and invitation. Where are you demanding certainty from something still forming? And what are you becoming that cannot yet be named? Just an invitation to consider that. Praxis number 5, liberation over performance. Perhaps the most important practice this year, and certainly the one that resonates with me in a different place throughout my system, because liberation is the key. We stopped confusing healing with being palatable. We examined how good behavior becomes a trauma response. Therapy reinforces compliance. We talked about neutrality. We talked about when we're sitting in those spaces where we can't fully access our sense of self, given to perhaps the transference and even the countertransference that oftentimes happens in those space. And in those spaces, wellness becomes performance. That's not what we're doing. That's what we're unlearning due to the programming we've all been subjected to. Here's the praxis here. Healing is not how well you perform regulation. It is how safely you live in your truth. Liberation does not look impressive, y'all. It looks honest. It looks authentic. Just an invitation. Ask yourself, where did I perform wellness instead of practicing safety? Then ask yourself again, what would nervous system honesty require in 2026? Let me be clear. We are not entering 2026 to become better people. We are embarking upon a new year to become more honest people. We don't need a new version of ourselves. We need a deeper relationship with the person who already survived. That would be us. Ding, 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 ding. We have survived. We are shifting and leaning into adaptation because here's the reality: when there is no threat, adapt. I love the way David teaches that because it is true. Our system cannot sustain perpetual, continual threat mode because that goes into the HPA axis or the stress axis. And listen, Black women are leading the charge on allostatic overload, and brown women are right on our heels. Allostatic overload becomes the precursor to poorer health outcomes. If you ever pull up that research, you will be astounded. I was astounded when I had the discovery some years ago. Please take what stays and release what doesn't. Let integration happen slowly and at your own rate and pace. This is not a race here. We're not looking for who's the fastest. We're not seeking to quantify anything. This is your process. Please own it at your own rate and pace. Healing is not measurable or even closely resemblant to what you accomplished this year. You can't quantify healing in that way. That becomes part of my angst when I look at social media and healing is trending and there seems to be this one, two, three of healing. It's not that way, I promise. It's what you can now stay with that has been transformed in your system. This is where the transcendence come into play. Thank you for practicing with me. And it is always my pleasure. As I learn, I teach. Real talk. And learning and teaching requires mutuality. We learn and teach one to the other. That's community. Thank you for being here. Happy New Year. And may this year become what you desire for yourself on your terms with health and wellness in mind. I am Tracy Gantlin-Monroy, and this is Beyond the Spot. And until we meet again, please know it is my pleasure to be in community with you. And thank you for the emails, the comments, the text messages, and all of that. I really appreciate the dialogue and the conversations that I receive around the podcast Beyond the Spot. And just know that this is an opportunity to give voice until we meet again. If today's episode resonated with your nervous system or your spirit, share it with someone who's still unlearning and reach out to me. My website is gracecommunitycounseling.com. You can reach me on Instagram at Monroy LPC. That is MONROY LPC. Also, I have offerings from retreats to brain spotting trainings to workshops, you name it. And I am also a speaker. So if you ever need a speaker with my skill set, look me up. Give me a call. Let's see what can happen. And absolutely for you clinicians and adjacent body healers, feel free to reach out and attend a brain spotting training. We have trainings all the time. Thank you.